Cleopatra, the queen who died for love. They say love can build empires, and sometimes love can destroy them. But for Cleopatra, love was destiny. A destiny written in gold, power, and tragedy. In the heart of ancient Egypt, where the Nile glowed beneath a burning sun and pyramids touched the sky, a young woman rose from the shadows of history to become the most powerful queen the world had ever known. Her name was Cleopatra. She was born in 69 BC into a kingdom divided by greed and war. Her father, Ptolemy XII, was weak, and Egypt was drowning in debt to Rome. But even as a child, Cleopatra was different. She spoke 9 languages. She studied philosophy, astronomy, and medicine. Unlike most rulers, she walked among her people, spoke their tongue, and listened to their pain. When her father died, the throne passed to her and her brother, Ptolemy XIII, a boy king controlled by corrupt advisors. Soon, they became enemies. The palace turned into a battlefield. Cleopatra was forced to flee her own kingdom, wandering the desert with a handful of loyal followers. Most would have given up. But Cleopatra was not most. She waited. She planned. She prepared to reclaim her crown. At that same moment, a man from across the sea arrived in Egypt, Julius Caesar, the greatest general of Rome. He came not for love, but to collect Egypt's debts. When Cleopatra heard that Caesar was in her palace, she saw her chance. She couldn't walk through the front gates. Her enemies would kill her on sight. So she ordered her servants to wrap her inside a carpet and smuggle her through the palace halls. That night, the carpet was unrolled before Caesar, and there she was, young, radiant, confident. He stared in disbelief. This was no ordinary queen. That meeting changed both of their destinies. In Caesar, Cleopatra saw not just a lover, but an ally strong enough to restore her throne. In Cleopatra, Caesar saw not just beauty, but intelligence and courage that Rome itself rarely produced. Their bond grew fast, too fast for the world to understand. Together, they fought her brother's army, won the war, and Cleopatra returned to Alexandria as the true ruler of Egypt. She was only 21. Her people welcomed her with flowers, and Caesar stood beside her, watching the Nile reflect the fire of the torches. Cleopatra gave birth to his son, Caesarion, a child she believed would unite Egypt and Rome forever. But fate is never that kind. Years later, in Rome, Caesar was assassinated, stabbed 23 times by his own senators. When news reached Egypt, Cleopatra's world collapsed. The man she loved, the father of her child, was gone. She mourned him deeply, but she could not surrender. Her son, Caesarion, was now the living symbol of Caesar's blood. She would raise him to rule both worlds. But a new power was rising in Rome, a man named Mark Antony. Mark Antony was everything Caesar wasn't. Where Caesar was calm and strategic, Antony was wild, passionate, impulsive. When he called Cleopatra to meet him in Tarsus, she made an entrance that would be remembered forever. She sailed up the river on a golden ship, its sails soaked in purple, its decks covered with roses. She lay beneath a canopy of silk, dressed as the goddess Aphrodite, surrounded by music and perfume. Antony was stunned. He had met queens, but never a goddess made flesh. Their love was instant and unstoppable. They lived in luxury and laughter, hunting in the desert, feasting in the moonlight, dreaming of a world they could rule together. For a time, they were unstoppable, a living myth of love and power. But Rome did not forgive. Antony's enemies spread rumors that he had fallen under Cleopatra's spell, that he had betrayed Rome for a foreign queen. War was declared. At Actium, their ships faced the Roman navy. Chidi Donesia Stakachido Rainen. Smoke filled the skies. Their empire of love began to sink. They fled back to Egypt, their dreams shattered, their fate closing in. Surrounded by Roman armies, Antony believed Cleopatra was dead. Heartbroken, he took his sword and fell upon it. As he lay dying, a messenger ran in. Cleopatra was alive. They carried Antony to her hidden chamber. When their eyes met, she held him close, his blood on her hands, his whisper fading. "Do not mourn me, my queen. Meet me again in the afterlife." He died in her arms. Rome demanded her surrender. They wanted to parade her through the streets, a chained queen, humiliated before the world. But Cleopatra was born a ruler. She would die one too. She dressed herself in royal gold, her crown glimmering under the torchlight. She entered her throne room, calm and proud. In her hands, a small basket. Inside, a serpent, the asp of Egypt. She touched it gently, as if greeting an old friend. The bite was swift, the poison silent. As her vision blurred, she whispered softly, "I have conquered Rome, in my own way." When Octavian's soldiers entered, they found her seated on her throne, peaceful, regal, eternal. Beside her lay her 2 loyal maids and the sleeping serpent. Cleopatra's death marked the end of ancient Egypt, but the beginning of her legend. Poets wrote of her, painters dreamed of her, generations whispered her name. To some, she was a seductress, to others, a goddess. But to those who look deeper, she was a woman who lived and died on her own terms. Not for greed, not for vanity, but for love. In her final moment, she proved that true power is not in crowns or armies, but in the courage to choose one's own fate. Cleopatra, the queen who died for love. Thanks for watching.